Good morning, Dwayne here, Dry Creek Wrangler School. As you can tell, we are not in the tack room today. So it's getting on close to noon, and I don't usually eat until noon. And so I have the options when it comes time for me to eat. I can eat a breakfast, or I can eat a lunch, or I can eat whatever I want. And I eat a lot of eggs. And so I'm just gonna make a quick breakfast this morning in here, or lunch. And it's kind of a lot similar to a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I did a campfire video, and kind of basically the same thing, but I'm cooking inside. For you young people, all right, who are getting a job on a ranch, on a dude ranch, cattle ranch, whatever, and you're out on your own and you've got to cook for yourself, don't fall into the trap of Totino's pizza and microwave hot pockets and SpaghettiOs in a can. Cooking is not that difficult. It's not complicated. It's not scary. It's way healthier and it's way cheaper. It's way more economical. All right, and it doesn't take time. You can do it really quick. You just may have to get up 15 minutes sooner. Okay, so let's just cook a meal that if I were fixing to head out and I were going to be pushing cattle all day or riding all day, and I were going to make myself something to eat before I went, this is what I'd make. All right, and it's from the very beginning. I haven't done anything in advance. Okay, all right. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn my stove on, but I'm not going to turn it up high. I'm going to turn it down kind of low. All right, I'm going to put me a little bit of butter in that skillet, not much. All right, I'm going to put just a little bit because I'm going to put sausage in here, and it's going to have its own grease. So while I do everything else, I'm going to put some sausage in there. Now my favorite, if I'm going to buy commercial sausage, my favorite sausage is Jimmy Dean Original. Okay, everybody has their own taste. How much sausage? I'm just going to do about that much. Okay, that's all I'm going to do. I'm going to drop that in there. I'm not in a hurry. And I don't like overcooking my food, like on the outside and it not being done on the inside, because I cooked everything too fast. So I just kind of want to break this up a little bit, and so it can start browning. And as it browns, I'll break it up a little more. But in the meantime, I'll leave that there and I'll get started on the rest. Now what I'm going to have this morning is I'm going to have that brown sausage and 4 eggs. So we're going to crack my eggs. You do better if you crack your eggs on the inside of the bowl. That's where I prefer to do it. If you do it up here, you got egg coming down the side, egg on the table. That sharp edge sometimes don't do them right. So I just come in here and kind of crack it on the inside of the bowl. 4 eggs is a pretty good sized meal for an average fella. And I'm cutting out my carbs again. I have to do that from time to time because of my stomach. And so it's just going to be the eggs, the sausage, the cheese, a little bit of onion on a plate. Okay? Grab a paper towel here. A little bit of salt, a little bit of pepper. Turn that up a hair. You can season it the way you want, but I like to taste my food. Okay, I don't like so much seasoning that it covers up the actual taste of the food. So a little bit of salt and pepper. Now I'm going to do something. If you're a young person out on the ranch, you're probably not going to have this on hand, and that's okay. Mama keeps this around. This is heavy whipping cream. I like to put a dollop of this in my eggs. All right, what that does is that makes eggs, when they come out, they're moist and they're fluffy and they don't get all dry and clumpy. All right. Now I just use a fork to beat my eggs up with. I don't like those whisks.
very much. I'd rather just use a fork. You get used to using a whisk and then you go out on the trail. It's just one more utensil. All right, not only that, but to me, they're always harder to clean. The egg gets in and around all those curved tines and everything, and this is just way easier. Whip it up good, all right? Along with the whipping cream, beating those eggs, scrambling them really good, is what helps with keeping them light and fluffy, getting some of that air in there, okay? This is starting to brown. You don't want too much. This particular sausage is pretty lean, and so it'll stick to the skillet if you don't add a little butter. If you're eating mostly a carnivore diet like this, it's meat and eggs, you want the fat, okay? Protein doesn't break down and digest and provide what it needs to without adding some fat to it. It needs fat. You can eat like this you can eat this meal 5 times a day and you won't gain weight. All right, if this is all you're eating. All right, you can add a whole lot more butter if you've got the taste for it. You can have the heavy whipping cream in the eggs. It's not fattening and you're not going to gain weight. Now for me, the sausage it's not a huge part of the meal. Basically, I'm eating eggs, but sausage is an addition. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit, and it adds a little bit of flavor and a little bit of substance. So while that's cooking, I'm gonna go ahead and throw my eggs away. Put my sausage back up, clear my counter off a little bit. Now another thing I have, this is, at this point, I found in the fridge, I don't know what they were cooking, but we got some onions here. All right. And so I'm gonna put a little bit of onions in there. Not a lot, it's just for flavor. Okay. Now the great thing about a meal like this is you can add to it anything you want. You can add your jalapenos to it if you're into that sort of thing. You can add garlic to it if you're into that sort of thing. You can add whatever you want. But I'm not a complex eater. I'm not an adventurous eater. And so I like to keep it simple. Now as soon as this browns, and all I'm doing is browning this sausage, as soon as it browns, I'm going to add the eggs and scramble the eggs up in it. But I want the sausage brown, because you add the eggs too soon and the sausage won't be ready. And by brown, I don't mean so much the color, but you don't want the pink on the outside. You want it, and it'll finish cooking inside the eggs. But you want a little bit of that. However brown and crunchy you like the outside of your sausage. I want to encourage you guys to just not even get in the habit, if you can help it, of snatching up some pre-made deal that you just have to microwave. It's not good for you. All right. Not only is it not good for you physically, but ultimately, it's not good for your person to just become that kind of microwave individual. right? There's things about this life that you've got to learn patience. All right? You got a cow that's trying to calve and she's having a little bit of trouble and you're in a hurry, it's not going to work so well. So you develop the habit of patience in life. And it starts at home. Everything with a horse in the saddle starts with the groundwork. And everything out in the world, our habit, starts with our habits at home. Now, so I don't forget, I'm going to go ahead and put some water in that mixing bowl. That way Mama don't hit me over the head with a rolling pin later. Because she's a mean one. I'm scared of her. All right, there we go. It's a life habit to take the time to do it right instead of looking for a shortcut for everything. Because just like with food, shortcuts are never the best option when it comes to things being done right. Shortcuts in your horse training are never the best option. And so if you learn in every aspect of life to take the time that it takes to do the right thing right, and you start that when you wake up of a morning, all right? When you get dressed, when you go to make your breakfast, you start it. But if your life habit is to grab something, to cheat and take shortcuts that you know are not as healthy, you know they're not as good, you got to be careful because that'll bleed over into the rest of your life and your life habits. All right, that's starting to come together. So now I'm gonna add cheese to it, mix it in there a little bit, put it down on a plate, and go eat it.
Yum. I should have had you double that. Make me some.
Now Mama's gonna be stealing my breakfast here.
No.
Just like I say, fellas, ladies, the number one thing you've got to get rid of in horsemanship, the number two things, is pride and a slave to time. All right? You don't want to be a slave to time. We want to control time. We don't want time to control us. And we don't want laziness to control us. All right, now one more thing, because we always get asked this when we cook. Man, that looks good. Mm-hmm. How we want to clean that out without scratching the skillet, without taking away the cure on it. Hot water.
Is that hot?
No, not anymore. You don't want to pour cold water in your hot skillet.
No, it'll crack.
It'll crack. And if you're out in the bush, if you're at camp using the cast iron skillet, and all you got is creek water, river water, and see that's gonna roll that egg right up. Mm-hmm. And what you can do is let your skillet cool down beside the fire. Let it cool down. Put your cold water in it, mm-hmm. and then put it back on the fire. Mm-hmm. And heat it up from there, okay? And this stuff will just peel right off. Where's that?
Right there behind you.
Right behind me. There it is. And then Mama keeps these on hand. Man, look how steady that hand is this morning. Goodness gracious. See, look at that.
Yep.
Can you see that? It's not hard. If you got good seasoning on your skillet, it's super easy to clean your skillet like this. It's just the hot water will get in there, okay? Now I'll let that set, that's fine, because I don't want my breakfast to get cold, right? So, thanks for joining me.
Be logical, be reasonable, be safe, and be ye warmed and fed. We'll catch y'all next time.